1976 to 1991, and I'll serve as your MC tonight. At this time, I'd like to call on Pete Hunter for a few remarks. Pete was the instigation, if you want to call it that. Pete was the person that had the dream of the Andrews Hall of Fame and got a number of people together to work on one, and it has finally come to fruition. And what a great Hall of Fame it is, and what a great night this is going to be. So I'll call on Pete Hunter at this time.
Hi, good evening. I'm certainly happy, if not just elated, to see this many people come out and support the Hall of Fame. Over the years, we've had an opportunity to see a lot of these great athletes, great human beings, and of course, after you hear the bios, you know what happened to these young athletes after they graduated from TWA Andrews. And of course, you supported them then, and you'll support them tonight. You'll hear some of these bios tonight, and you'll just shake your head about what is it that I did not do in high school where I'm liking in achieving the greatness that they had. And as I was telling Bobby Lloyd, who was one of the inductees tonight, that we've only scratched the surface of recognizing young athletes who achieve greatness while at Andrews. You know, I know that a lot of team sports at Andrews, and if you're a football player, if you're a running back, you have to have some blocking. Somebody has to block for you, and then of course to win games and to receive all the other accolades, you have to have somebody that have team support. Well, we certainly appreciate your support, supporting our TWA Andrews Athletic Hall of Fame, and also supporting these inductees. The chairman of the TWA Andrews Athletic Hall of Fame committee, and on behalf of the committee, I would like to welcome you to the 4th annual TWA Andrews Athletic Hall of Fame induction banquet. Now, we know it's a little tight in here, and as I was saying to others as I was coming in, we recognize that. But we could have gone out early to the first banquet in that large arena. But everybody's sitting around more or less trying to figure out what is that all about. And we could have had probably 4 or 5 people in there, and you could hear echoes in the building. So we were crawling at the time. Now we think we are walking. And with your support, we'll get up to running speed. And I think we can do that support. This Hall of Fame, at the Hall of Fame, we try to recognize individuals who brought their accomplishments, pride, and distinction to our school and to our community. As either an athlete, a coach, administrator, or contributor to the development and success of T. Wingate Andrews High School athletic program. So just sit back tonight and just listen to enjoy yourself, enjoy the meal, and listen to what these young people more or less accomplished while they were at T. Wingate Andrews. You know, you're gonna hear, I'll just sing I was talking to Bobby Lloyd, who was one of the inductees tonight, and I told Bobby we just don't have enough time to go through all the things that he and Wally, Burke did while they were here. We just don't have time.
We would have a play-by-play.
But then, of course, a lot of you just thought we at Andrews, we only had football and maybe basketball and baseball. But when you hear something about an inductee that is coming into the Hall of Fame tonight, who was an outstanding swimmer here at Andrews, and not only at Andrews, but moved on into the collegiate ranks, you just shake your head and say, where is he? Where has he been? But he's here tonight, and we're going to tell you all about him, and you'll probably say, yep, he should be in the Hall of Fame here at Andrews. So sit back, enjoy yourself. Coach Cohen is going to direct you through everything, and enjoy your evening, and we'll look forward to you, to your continued support. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to call upon for a few words Mr. Marcus Goss, who is the new principal at Andrews this year. His wife, Tamika, is here. Tamika, could you please stand also? Thank you, and welcome. And Mr. Goss.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So it is a great pleasure to stand before you. Again, my name is Marcus Goss, and as of July 1st, I became principal at T.W. Andrews High School. And since that time, we have taken off into an exciting journey together. One of the things that I can tell you that I've experienced and seen so far is the pride that is instilled in every single student that walks in the door, as well as the alumni of 49 plus years. And so as we embark on this 50-year journey and celebrate all the athletes tonight, I also was just in awe of all the things that they've been able to accomplish, not only in the classroom during their tenure, but also off the courts and off the tracks and out of the pools and in the communities and all of those pieces that all come together, which is why I'm here to instill back in our students that we currently have at T.W. Andrews that same spirit of work ethic, that same spirit of determination and self-discipline, that same spirit of just believing that it's possible. And so as we move forward throughout the next this next phase at T.W. Andrews High School, I ask for your continued support. Look forward to working with each and every one of you all. Congratulations to all of the inductees tonight and those that are already a part of the Hall of Fame. And I can tell you, based on what I've seen thus far, there will be more to come. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for believing in T.W. Andrews High School.
Thank you, Mr. Goss. We have a little bit of change in the order that's in the program right now. We won't do our introduction of special guests until we actually begin the program. So at this time, before we begin dinner, I'd like to call upon Mike Mcdonald, one of the committee members, for the invocation.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, you have gathered here tonight to celebrate and honor these men and women who have accomplished much in the arena of athletics and in life, both at Andrews High School and beyond. Tonight we celebrate together as part of the Red Raider family that for nearly 50 years has seen great accomplishment and success within our school and in our community. We seek to honor these 13 men and women that have excelled and brought honor to themselves, their families, their school, and their community. We thank you, God, for the gift of life and the talents and the gifts that you have bestowed on each of us. We acknowledge that all we have and all that we have accomplished is a result of your goodness and your mercy. As we look back and reflect on the accomplishments of each of these inductees, we are ever mindful that ultimately none of these accomplishments were possible without you, our Creator. That we were and are created to bring you glory and praise. Father, we defer to you, for you alone are worthy to receive all praise and honor. Our lives and accomplishments pale beside what you have done for us. Lord Jesus, thank you for setting the example of living the perfect life that was and is continuing to bring honor, praise, and glory to the Father. So, Father, would you bless our time here tonight? Bless those who have prepared this meal, and bless it to the nourishment of our body. We pray and ask all these things in the blessed name of Jesus. Amen.
I want you to enjoy your dinner. You can stay where you are. Your food will be brought to you, and right before the conclusion of the dinner, we'll begin the program. So enjoy the evening. Get out of the way before we get to the actual induction ceremony, so we're going to go ahead and begin. Welcome again to the 4th annual TWA Andrews Hall of Fame Banquet and Induction Ceremony. I'd like to introduce, I hope they're all in the room right now, the Hall of Fame committee. You met Pete Hunter. Pete, would you please stand? Who is our chairman. Mr. Mike McDonald, who gave the invocation. Ms. Sue Shin, Sue is back by the door. Ms. Sue. Ms. Darlene Mason. There you go. Mr. Eddie Renard. Is he still out at the table? Derek Anderson, Athletic Director. And also Mr. Mark Goss. Please give these people a round of applause. And I forgot Robbie Burke, but there's something else going on involving him tonight too, so I overlooked some of that. He'll be introduced a little more thoroughly later on. We have a number of former inductees here, and I would like to call upon them to stand. And as I introduce your class, please remain standing, and if you would, hold your applause till the very end. From the class of 2014, our first class, Melvin Fair and Eddie Robinson. From the class of 2015, John Kazaza, Trey Kirk, San Harrison, representing Ruth McDowell, her son Mike McDowell, Sam Sanders, and representing Pat Walsh, her son Mark. Last year's class, representing Nat Bowles Sr., his wife Margaret Bowles, Herb Cole, Jesse Ratliff, Sue Shin, to her, A.C. Spencer, here, and Dan Wagner. All right, let's give them all a big round. We have several former coaches in attendance that I'd like to introduce, who I've not already introduced, maybe as Hall of Fame members. But Sandy Dalton, soccer, softball coach here for a number of years. Mr. Aldean Payne also. We have a number of former faculty and principals here. Former Principal Bill Shelton. Bill, if we would stand, please. Terry Brooks. Terry is also the mother of Shelley Brooks Bewley, who was inducted last year into the Hall of Fame class. Shirley Bynum, if you would please stand. Patty Bonner Burke. Libby Sebastian. better known as Libby Kate. Susan Garner. I saw Susan. Ann Joyner. I think that's all that we're. Oh, Liz Kimbrough. Thank you. Please give them a round. Several other special guests we have. Current school board member for our district and an Andrews grad, Mr. Wes Cashman. Wes, you please stand. Former council member and current at-large candidate for the city council this year, and a former Red Raider athlete, Mr. Rick Moore. Please go out and vote early and vote often. And we have, and he's not running for office, although you would think he would going around here, Mr. Ed Price. Of all things good at Andrews and High Point Central and for the youth of High Point. Welcome to all of you. Media present. We wanted to thank Kevin Conley for the interview he did. He had to run back to the studio, but he introduced Freddie, Autry, Lindsay at the 6:25 segment of Fox 8 News. And thank Kevin and Fox 8 for that. Representing the High Point Enterprise, Mr. Michael Lindsay, who will be taking some pictures and doing a write-up about this. Michael, please stand. Photographer this evening, Mr. Eddie George. Eddie. And videographer, Mr. Greg Bates. At this time, I'd like to introduce one of our committee members, Mr. Eddie Renard, with an important announcement about the Hall of Fame. And while Eddie's coming to the front, I will mention, because I'm sure he would want to do so, that his son, Lamar, was the quarterback of the 2013 state championship 2A football team, and currently is the starting quarterback for the undefeated A&T Aggies.
Good evening. Good evening. I didn't know I was coming on this early, but I'm here. Congratulations in the class of 2017. We first started working on this committee, I guess, brainstormed about 5 years ago. What we wanted to do is honor the great athletes that came through Andrews, and sitting and reading some of the bios is really unbelievable. I'm from a little small town in the east part of the state, and I think you might have seen, I think our school started in 72, and we're on the team maybe 2 state championships between the whole school, between then and now. Now reading some bios, and some guys and girls in here have 11 state championships. One person with 11 state, that's just unbelievable. So High Point has really been blessed with great athletes, and you all should be commended. Like I said, when we first started off, we wanted to recognize the great athletes who have been through Andrews, but we also wanted to give back to the current student athletes. So we're pleased to announce in the spring of 2018, we'll be giving out our first scholarship to a student athlete at Andrews. What we're trying to do, we will not be looking for the athlete with a full ride. We will be looking for a student athlete that needs some help. They might need help with tuition or a book or two, so that's what we'll be doing. And also, the past inductees, we might be asking for you to help us out, to build us a little nest egg so we can help out these deserving students. So on behalf of the committee, thank you for coming out, and I'll turn it back over to her.
Thank you, Eddie. One person I failed to introduce, current faculty member and former athletic director, Ben Robbins. Ben, you are here. Please stand. And now a few housekeeping items before the program begins, and we'll get to the inductions in just a second. On your table are some nomination forms. There's, I think, 2 nomination forms on each table. You can go to the Andrews High School website, go to the athletic department, and find the same nomination form. These are due by April 15th each year for nominees We're building up a list of nominees for consideration. And of course, someone must be nominated in order to be considered. If they're not nominated, then they're not considered for induction. So if you have someone, you know someone that you would like for induction, please fill in one of those forms. You can give it to one of the committee members tonight if you wish, or can send it to the address at the school. We do ask for some sort of documentation, pictures that you may have, newspaper articles about the individual so we can gather as much information as possible. Also on your desk is on your table. You know, it's been 20, 25, 30, how many years has it been since I've been in the classroom? Still at your desk. There are some order forms in case anyone is interested in a CD of the pictures for tonight and also of the introduction ceremony during halftime of tomorrow's football game. You can fill in a form down there. I think they're listed at $20. And also there will be DVDs available of the induction ceremony tonight. Those are not listed at the bottom of the program, but if you wish one, you can just write that in. Those would be $20 as well. The decorations on the table belong to some individuals and so forth, so we do ask that you not take the decorations that are on the table or be collected and continue to be used in future Hall of Fame banquets. And also, believe it or not, with the table placards too. We can save those table numbers on. The more money we save, more goes to the scholarship, right? Inductees. After you've been introduced tonight, please come forward and Mr. Hunter will place the medallion around your neck. And you will then have time for your brief 3 to 4 minute remarks. You know, it's always nice to control the time. And as head football coach, I always control the time of practices. Yes, we practice from 3:50 to 6:15 on the schedule. But you know, sometimes if things weren't going exactly right, well, I'd sort of be set back, you know. One more time. Sit back. By the way, for you younger folks in the audience, a watch is something that you wore on your wrist. You couldn't talk into it on the phone, you couldn't put internet, you couldn't put private banking on it. But we actually had those. And later on in my career, they put batteries in them. So many times in practice, you'd be running over, there'd be Coach Kazaza, and he'd be going, I just smile back and go, because I had the official time. So tonight, inductees, at the conclusion of the introduction of everybody and after Mr. Hunter's remarks, I'm going to bring the whole class back up so we can recognize everybody. And also there'll be a time to take group pictures. So for official photographers, for anybody else who would like to take them too. But we will call you back up at that time. Inductees, remember tomorrow night at the football game, you will be introduced at halftime. We ask you should have received your tickets tonight in the packets that were given to you. We ask that you be there by 7:15. There will be a place reserved in front of the press box for you and your family and guests. And about 5 minutes until halftime, right into the second quarter, myself or Mrs. Shin will escort you down to the field for you to be introduced at halftime. So I think that's it as far as our housekeeping is concerned. And we're ready to begin the inductions of the 2017 class of the TWA Hall of Fame. Our first inductee is Freddie Autry Lindsay. Freddie was a 3-sport athlete in football, basketball, and baseball, graduating in 2001. He was a 4-year player in baseball, a starter in basketball on the 2001 3A state championship team, and all-conference, all-area player of the year, and all-state in football. Freddie was selected for the 2000 Shrine Bowl football game. While at Andrews, Freddie also served as senior class president and was selected as homecoming king. Freddie went on to NC State on a football scholarship and was a 2-year team captain and starter in 2003 and 2004. He was selected Atlantic Coast Conference and National Player of the Week in 2003 for his performance in a game against the University of Connecticut. He won the Al Michaels Award at NC State, designated for the player who puts team above self. Since 2007, Freddie has devoted his career to coaching football and currently serves as a linebacker coach and defensive run game coordinator at Campbell University. Freddie lives in Lillington, North Carolina. He's married to his high school sweetheart, former Renard, and they have 3 sons, Colton, Colin, and Coulter, who are here tonight. So please welcome Freddie, Autry, Lindsay, and Mcdonald.
Let's get this thing kicked off. Got a couple notes I want to talk about. Won't be up here too long, but calling myself a week, get emotional, cry. So this is it means a lot to me. First, I just want to thank God for giving me the ability to create my life the way I want it through Him. He's become a huge part of my life. Thank you to my wife. I want to thank everybody in the Hall of Fame for me. This is very important to me. I thank you guys for nominating me for me in this Hall of Fame. I want to thank all of my high school coaches. I see Coach James here, Coach Goss. I know all you guys. I appreciate you. All my high school coaches, from football, to basketball, to baseball, and I did do a little track. I want to thank all of my family members, my aunts, and my uncles that helped raise me.
All right.
I want to thank my sisters for loving me, no matter how bad I was to them. I want to thank my mom for believing. I know it wasn't easy raising a young man, your husband, and my father at the age of 14. I thank you for everything. I'm sorry.
All right.
And my wife. The woman that has helped grow me into the man that I am today. I met you at 15. We got married at 24. We got 3 beautiful kids. And you are my heart. And I love you. And I thank you for everything that you do. And this is just the beginning for us. I get emotional because my father's not here. And every time I accomplish things in my life, it takes me back to him and what he instilled in me as a young man. So that's why this is important to me. That's why I do what I do and I feel how I feel right now. I want to leave you with 2 things that I live by right now. Since I've been growing old. 2 quotes. And one of them is never judge the process that it takes to reach your goals. I mean, for everybody. Never judge it. God has a plan. Whatever goals you put forward yourself, never judge it. Continue to stay in the process. Continue to do and go to work every day. All right, and the last thing I want to tell you all is what I tell myself every day I wake up. I cannot choose who I want to love. God has put us on this earth to build a relationship and
everyone in this world and to build a relationship with him. So you can't choose who you want to love. Have an open heart to everybody that you come in contact with. And I thank everybody in this room, those before me in this Hall of Fame, and those that's going to come after me, all of my teachers, all the administrators that are part of my life. You all have helped me become the man I am today. And like I said, it's going to be more coming from me and my wife and my family. That's what we want to do in this world. We want to help grow people and grow youth. And that's what we want to do. And I just want to thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Freddie. Our next two inductees, in my opinion, probably got more out of individual kids than they thought they could ever get out of themselves. They pushed them, they worked them, and they developed champions. First of all, Coach Wally Burke. Coach Burke is a native of Alexandria, Virginia. He graduated from Elon with a BA in English and Physical Education. He wrestled in the 138 and 145-pound weight classes in college. His first coaching job was at Southern Alamance High School, where he was defensive coordinator in football and the head wrestling coach. He coached fellow inductee Bobby Lloyd to the 172-pound individual state championship in 1974 and Southern Alamance to the 1975 state championship in wrestling, which included schools of all classifications. Coach Burke began his 13-year career at Andrews in 1979, teaching English and serving as football defensive coordinator and head wrestling coach. Coach Burke coached 9 state championship wrestling teams at Andrews, the 1981 state tournament champions, 5 consecutive state 3A tournament champions, and 3 state 3A dual team champions. He served as defensive coordinator on the 1991 state 3A championship football team. Coach Burke has coached over 30 individual state wrestling champions, more than 20 high school All-Americans, and was named the North Carolina High School Athletic Association Wrestling Coach of the Year 6 times, the Matt News Wrestling Coach of the Year 8 times, and inducted into the National Wrestling Coaches Hall of Fame in 1997. Coach Burke is retired. He lives on Holliger Farm between Carthage and Pinecrest, and he's married to the former Patty Fonda, who was a teacher at Andrews. Please welcome Wally Burke to the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Rob. I told Coach a few minutes ago, I thought it was going to be posthumously because he said 3 minutes to talk. So I figured he's going to wait a few more years before I got into it. You guys know what I'm all about. And that's all about you guys. This isn't about me. This was a great experience here. This is family. And now sometimes it was tough love family, but it was always family. I can remember many times, and I got to be careful because I'll go off and lose my place and forget about the time. But this, when I came here, I could just feel the love and the energy of all these young athletes, and it just made us family. And I probably need to thank Nancy Little because she's a big instrument in this whole process. Part about me getting here, but more importantly, part about Bob getting here. And Bob and I have been together for can't even tell the years, but it was back in 70. Oh, I don't know. It was a long time. But you guys, when I got here, football and wrestling, it was made me so proud to be around. And I can tell you, there was 2 times in both sports in football, it was in Statesville. We're walking up the hill, and Squirt was there. I think probably Kenny Shaw and Burkins and some of those guys around me that all could have been pros. And we were walking up the hill, and I thought to myself, this is the worst starting football record I've had in 20 years. And I said, hey, I think you got the best guys we've ever had in 20 years. Or close to it. You know, Andrew's had a lot of good guys. But I said, this is unbelievable. We talked one up the hill, and I think I don't know how many games we won after that, but I know we won the state championship with Chapel. That was good talk right there. That I don't know what that was, but I need to clean that up. And the show family, I had a junior on the wrestling team, and he dislocated his elbow the week before the state tournament. And Junior, he was sitting over there and he said, I got to wrestle. I said, so we're prepared, we got 3 days. And I said, well, I'll call your mama. I called her mama and I said, do you want me to put this elbow back in? She said, you're dead. We put the elbow back in and I called Doc. He came in and he said, well, since the elbow's in, I can't say it was ever out. So Junior finished second in the state that year. Never really lost a match. We had a semifinals, in the finals, because kid threw him on the concrete because he knew he was wearing that $750 brace on his arm. So we could get through. So he made it to the finals with one arm. And he's doing fine, by the way. That's Junior and my family. But you guys know, if you wrestle with me and play football for me, you know we're family. Always. Always. I even pray for you guys every night. My wife gets on me sometimes and said, I'm up there praying for about an hour and a half. I have to pray for some of them twice. You know I love you. And this was, I'm proud to be a part of this. And it was a great run. It was a great run. And I'll let Bob have this because he's still on the run. He's still helping young kids today, and that's what it's all about. I went into this with a reason, purpose, and a function of helping young people. And I wasn't going to let him get cheap. I fought till it did. Except for when Joe Jones almost kicked me off the mat. I had his uncle because I didn't want to get put in the parking lot. So I couldn't help out there. But other than that, I love you, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.
The Joe Jones that Wally was referring to, I'm surprised he's got a wrestling official here, come to the badge for him getting inducted. I imagine they had a few choice words down through the years. Joe's in his 61st year of officiating high school wrestling in North Carolina. Our next inductee is Bobby Lloyd by Bobby Lloyd. Coached by Wally Burke, Bobby Lloyd was the state 172-pound wrestling champion in 1974 as Southern Alamance High and an All-American. In 1975, he assisted coaching Southern Alamance to the state championship and thus began a 29-year journey of coaching outstanding wrestlers at the high school level. He assisted Coach Burke for 5 years at Southern and then for 13 years at Andrews. During that time frame, as we mentioned, the Red Raiders won 9 state wrestling championships, and Bobby helped in coaching numerous All-State and All-American performers. He continued coaching Andrews for an additional 11 years, assisting the Red Raiders to the 2003 State 3A title. In 1992, Bobby started the School of Hard Knocks, a youth wrestling program, and has worked with young wrestlers from age 6 to the early 20s. He continues operating this program to this day. Bobby was inducted into the Southern Alamance Hall of Fame in 2011 and the North Carolina chapter of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2014. Bobby lives in High Point with his wife, Shirley, and is now being inducted into the Andrews Hall of Fame in 2017. Congratulations, Bobby.
What can you say? I want to thank the committee and God for giving me the strength. And my wife for keep letting me do this year after year. But let me tell you, if you come from Southern Alamance and you come to Andrews, I guarantee you won't marry one of these people at High Point Andrews. The three of us came from Southern Alamance, and all three of us married people from Andrews. I was in New York praying to figure out how we're going to get back to North Carolina. Next day, I get a call from him saying, you got to come back. You got to help me. I'm tired down here. I'm working by myself. You going to have to come back. I said, well, you know, I ain't got no job. I ain't got nothing. He said, don't worry about that. Just come on. So get down here, $10 in my pocket, staying with him, driving him up here to school every day. And he's acting like he was studying, doing tests, and he's over there asleep. But we got through all that, and he said, I got a project for you. It was Scott Staniola. We call him Tin Man. He couldn't find the heart. But by the end of the year, I didn't have nothing to do all day but get up in the morning and wait on 6th period to get that to schools to mess with him. And every day after full practice, I said, train on Sanyoda. They would line up all the way out the hall to jump on him. So one day he come in and he said, Coach, it ain't gonna happen today. I said, why not? He said, I'm gonna hurt. I ain't gonna tell you exactly what he said. The first 5, he put it on him. I said, stop, break. You good. We ain't gonna have to worry about that no more. But it was being at Andrews and like you said, with family. I couldn't figure out when I was at Dudley how they made weight. Because we'd go over there and I look at there, all this food over there, and I said, how do they make weight with all this food? And I'll be going over there, sneaking over there eating, and I'm coaching at Dudley. But I appreciate all the hard work that I did to get there. And the funny thing, Miss Lowell got me a job at MGM. They don't know I was mad because I had to go to work over there all day. So when I got to Andrews, that was my relief. To take it out on them for that, lifting that heavy furniture all day. Nevertheless, I'm still helping kids. Alan, Jack, they're my 2 youngest ones. And I got another one that's over there in the corner, 2-time All-American. Stand up. So we still working hard, and y'all pray for me, and thank you.
Little known fact that Bobby won the 172-pound state championship in 1974. He wrestled at the 158-pound weight class all year long and didn't make weight when they got to the sections. Yeah. Well, you were over there eating that food. So Coach Burke moved him up to 172 pounds, and he won the state championship, and he forced the guy who's wrestling to get headed to default because he hurt him so bad in the championship match. So congratulations.
And I called the match, and I didn't have to say a word to this guy right here. Not a word. He said, "Burke, start."
All right, our next inductee, Chris Compton. Chris Compton is the most decorated swimmer in Andrews history. Not only was he a finalist in the North Carolina High School Athletic Association swimming championships all 4 of his high school years, he was the state 3A champion in 1990 in both the 50 and 100 freestyle events. His times in these 2 events are still state 3A records, and his 50 freestyle time that year is the best ever recorded in a state meet, regardless of classification. In Chris's senior year, he was selected as an All-American and was also the USA Junior National Champion in the 50 in 1990. Chris was the top sprint recruit in the country and went to the University of Tennessee on scholarship. During his time at Tennessee, Chris was a team captain 2 years, a Southeastern Conference champion in 5 events, All Southeast Conference 2 years, and an All-American selection in 10 events over his 4 years of competition. He was an Olympic trials qualifier in 1992 and 1996 and ranked in the top 10 in the world in his events each year from 1992 to 1996. Chris returned to High Point in 1997 and founded and coached Star Aquatics. Chris now lives in Orange Park, Florida, and is the owner of Elite Pay, which is a company serving the telecommunications and IT industries. He and his wife, Adriana, are here tonight, and they have 4 children, Cade, CJ, Mia, and Zoe. Congratulations, and let's welcome Chris Compton to the
swimmer he was talking about earlier. But thank you. I do want to. I didn't let him speak, so it's kind of like a wing thing, right? Look at my notes here. I do want to thank the nomination, of course, coaches that are nominated, and it's a privilege and an honor and the committee for accepting me. It's not just an honor for me; it's an honor for my family. You know, what's important in life is just kind of leading by example and showing your family that hard work, dedication. You know, keeping your head down and not listening to all the negative things that are out there, and having a goal in life, you can reach it no matter what's brought in front of you. So I think it's important that everybody kind of understands that. If you know me or know or have met me before, you kind of understand that I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for really wanting to do it. And that's my grandmother. My grandmother has raised me since I was 1 years old. Adopted me when I was 10. Was my backbone, is still my backbone, is 91 years old, and going to be 92 now, and everything, and has ever been the best supporter in my life. She would work at Holiday Inn in Greensboro, get off at 6 in the morning and be in Knoxville for 11 o'clock swim meet every single Saturday. Never missed a meeting, never missed anything. So I owe her just a tremendous amount of gratitude, and I wouldn't be here today without her. When I was coming up, swimming wasn't the sport it is today. There wasn't, Michael Phelps is known throughout the world, right? So everybody knows swimming, and it's a prolific sport, and you can make $1 million at it now. You couldn't do that back then. It was a sport that people didn't understand. And there's coaches in here that I won't mention names that would say, "Chris, why aren't you playing basketball, football, baseball? We see you." I go, "Coach, I'm swimming." And then he's lazy. Okay, maybe I knew what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, and really it was about getting an education. It was really about taking another step. I was the first one in my family to go to college, first one to graduate. Since then, I have 2 masters, I've owned 3 companies, and I've stayed focused my whole life. And I give a lot of that credit to not the athletic side of being here from my grandmother, to my very supportive wife, my family that are my backbone. Everything that I do is to show them, no matter where you're brought up, how you're brought up, It doesn't matter. If you stay focused and you have a goal in life and you work hard, you can accomplish anything. So this honor means a great deal to me. It means a great deal to me because I have kids that are over there that are more excited than I am right now. They're dying, waving at me right now. One of my little ones over there, Mia, is a swimmer. So she broke the 6-year-old records this summer. And the highlight was I got the coach for doing it. So I found out really quick that I shouldn't coach my own kids. I'm too intense. I got to back off a little bit, let somebody else do it. But this is an honor. This is something because, it's funny that I swam so much and I knew what I wanted to do in life and how I wanted to get there in education and all the stuff that I knew swimming would take me. School and I didn't always get along. I always had older brothers that were not the best, so I had to kind of get away from their bad stuff, where I would have principals call me my other brother's name sometimes. I'm like, I promise I'm good. You're confident. But no, this means a lot, and I appreciate it, and thanks a lot for the nominations, and this is an honor.
Congratulations, Chris. Our next inductee is Jeff Culler. Jeff graduated in 1977 from Andrews. He played basketball and ran track, but it was in football that Jeff made his mark. He was an all-conference defensive back on the 1975 team that advanced to the second round of the state playoffs. As a senior, Jeff served as team captain and the quarterback on the 13-1 state 4A championship team. He threw the touchdown pass that was the only score in that hard-fought championship game against Richmond County. Jeff was most valuable player on that team, as well as all-conference and honorable mention all-state. He was selected to play in the East-West All-Star game and served as the starting quarterback and team captain. Jeff earned a football scholarship to North Carolina State. He played in winning bowl games in 1977 and 1978 and was a member of NC State's Atlantic Coast Conference championship team in 1979. During Jeff's senior year, he started at strong safety, playing for his position coach, Pete Carroll, now head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Jeff lives in High Point and is the director of retail operations with Furnitureland South and a member here at Oakview Baptist Church. He and his wife, Rhonda, the former Rhonda Warren, a TWA grad, have 2 boys, Kyle and Drew. And it's also a pleasure to have Jeff's mother, Frances, here tonight as well. Please welcome Jeff Culler to the Andrews.
Tell what era I come from. And before I get started, I do want to thank Robert Murphy. Robert's my consultant. He tells me what I need to how I need to dress before I come to a banquet, what time I need to show up, and he advises me of a 3-minute speech. And I said, if I don't write that down, we're going to be showing up at IHOP tomorrow morning. But it did take me less than 3 minutes, Robert, to forget where I was supposed to sit from the time I checked in. I also want to thank my copying machine at work because it can enlarge the print where I can see it actually. So, but to get started, what an honor and a privilege to be a part of the 2017 T. Lincoln Andrews Hall of Fame team. And how fortunate to be able to attend my 40th class reunion this Saturday. Yes, you heard that right, 40 years from high school. It should be quite interesting to see who can recognize each other. In hopes that someone can actually identify me. I'm only a stealthy 50 pounds more than I was when I was in high school. And a little gray on top, and a little less on top. I would like to thank those joining me tonight to celebrate this honor. My wife, Rhonda, 34 years. She is a former Red Raider. I promised her I would not say this, that, and whatever, which seems to be a term us old folks use a lot. My mother, who still lives on McGuinn Avenue, where I grew up, and has been a prayer warrior for me all my life. My two sons, Kyle and Drew. Very proud of the men you've become. Thank you for being here tonight. And Drew's girlfriend, Beth. I'm glad she's here tonight. She makes Drew look much better. My good friends and golfing buddies, Mike Lewis, Mark Pace, and Willie Wright, who I began to be friends with at First Land South, where I called home for 26 years. The Walsh family, Mark and Muriel, who served as Rhonda and I's therapists for years. The goods and the bad. We may have done some permanent damage to Mark. I want to thank Robbie, Cornady, Dan Wagner, those guys that have been a part of my life. It's overwhelming to me that they would drive up from Charlotte, South Carolina, to be a part of this, but thank you. You mean a lot to me. Robbie and me grew up from the time we were this big, and we were basically bookends. We never could play on the same team because they said, we're all the same size, you go that way and you go this way. But we've done a whole lot of things together, and we've enjoyed that. And I want to thank, again, this church family for being here and sharing this moment with me. Thank you, Hall of Fame Committee, for not calling me back and telling me that you weren't interested. That would have left a mark. But again, as I look at the names and accomplishments of this year's Hall of Fame class, I'm very humble. Freddie, you have that handkerchief. And I'm blessed to be a part of this group, student athletes, coaches, supporters, and by the way, congratulations to each of you for being a part of this 2017 Hall of Fame, being a representative for TWA Andrews, and recognized by this school, and we thank you. Most of you, I'm your senior, those who are on this 2017 team, except for the late Coach Freddie, who taught me how to drive at Andrews. So, Ron, if you have any problems with my driving, it started there. Coach Burke, who my first dealings with him was at the end of a bullwhip at a Renard all sports camp, something that the Andrews crew went to religiously back in the day. And believe me, you didn't want to round the corners when you're coming out, or you would taste the end of that bullwhip. Didn't even know it, but I know him now. Barry Perkins, who we go way back to Little League. He was the smallest one on the team, but he was always the toughest. And I remember that win. And of course, those of you, Robert Murphy, who may look as old as me, but he's not. I'm just kidding. I had the honor of having Robert in the youth group in our church. He is one of the godliest men I know. And I was once his mentor, but he is now my mentor. And I thank you, Robert. Tommy, Greg, and Sam, always enjoyed watching you guys play football at Andrews. I used to really enjoy going on Friday nights and watching you guys play ball, and I appreciate it. Freddie, I know you through my nephew Will, and enjoyed watching you guys win the state championship basketball. I'm not sure how a linebacker could be that good in basketball, but you pulled that one off. Plus, you are not only a Red Raider, you are a Wolfpack. There you go. And so we can share a bond of frustration dealing with pain. And of course, all of you in the Hall of Fame class again, congratulations with this honor. I had the unique experience of growing up, as we older folks would say, a stone's throw from Andrews High School. You see, I was a Red Raider before the walls were finished, going up in 1968. I would ride my bicycle and later my mini trail. For those of you who don't know that terminology, a mini trail is a kid's motorcycle. Not the smartest decision my parents made, but I was very thankful for it going fast and not having to pedal. That mini trail and I saw the inside of Andrews High School before many of you did. Not that I'm saying anything about that particular situation, but other than I played a lot in the school during the construction stage of that building. I had many dreams of being a Red Raider at an early age in life. I was fortunate to grow up in a neighborhood down the street from Andrews as the youngest of a group of great athletes such as the likes of Johnny Evans, Sammy, Ronnie, and Timmy Johnson, the Lassiters, my cousin Brett and Kevin Cohen, and others that would later be my motivation for being a Red Raider. Being the young one, I had to start at an early age of 7 in my journey in organized sports just to keep up with those who were at that time 10, 11, and 12 years old. I can remember shagging punts for Johnny Evans, known for his great punting skills, who would stand at the furthest part of his yard, punt over our neighbor's yard into the end of our yard. And it was quite a task trying to catch that punt, but eventually I learned how to do it. I can remember as we got older watching these guys playing Andrews at Albion Millie Stadium. Some of y'all remember that name, which is now Hopewell University's soccer and lacrosse field. Dreaming one day that I would be a Red Raider and playing as I did at that stadium. And the closer I got to the age of entering Andrews, the more I was hoping that they would build a better stadium. Although, when you're a kid full of dreams, Albion Millie Stadium was like Lambeau Field. Actually, I was on the first Andrews JV team my 10th grade year that first played in A.G. Simmons Stadium, and it was quite the treat for us. We really thought we had arrived. I can remember how envious the varsity team was because we played on Thursday night, and they followed on Friday nights. One thing that is etched in my mind forever about Hopewell Andrews is the sense of tradition, family, and team. And I was able to be a part of it. Starting with the support we received from the early coaches, such as the likes of Bob Boswell, Whiteman, Lambert, Hunter, that reached down to the junior high level high school. At the time, it was Northeast Junior High School. It was actually a junior high school back in or somewhere instead of a middle school. And we began planting the seed. They began planting the seed that you guys are going to be part of something very special one day. And we want to make sure you're all ready to be prepared for that. And I can't say that I blame them for promoting with us because, you see, we had an undefeated 9th grade team that was forming a very special bond ourselves. I mean, who else had a team with a Jet, a Lurch, a D-Lap, a Kelso, a Cornady, a Freeman, and a Fishhead, and a Smiley? That's the name that the Andrews coach tagged on me before I even got to Andrews. Most of us had played together or against each other in the Little League ranks. Arriving at Andrews, I quickly witnessed another amazing part of tradition at Andrews High School, the unbelievable support system of the Booster Club, made up of parents, neighbors, ex-players, ex-coaches, and it seemed like at the time the entire city. Of course, the Andrews side of the city, which spread from Parkview District all the way to Oakview District. I can vividly remember the group of men, dads, that made every practice, Saturday morning scrimmage, and anything else affiliated with the team at that time, standing on the top of the hill, just at the track. Some of y'all remember that. My dad, Mr. Cohen, Smiley's dad, or Big O, some call it, was always there, and many occasions provided drinks, watermelons, ice creams, whatever that group of fathers could get together to make sure the players always felt cared about. And we did. And we grew to enjoy that care after every game we played. Moms and dads, other boosters, made sure we were well fed before leaving the school after every game. But one of the most memorable things to me was the sense of family and team that grew together. 35 seniors and several underclassmen who would go 13-1 and become the 1976 State 4A champions. That was an experience that I was blessed with and will cherish forever. Yes, the accolades of winning the State 4A title, things that go with that, were and still are great things to remember and talk about. But the community, the camaraderie, the team, and the brotherhood that peaked, along with our coaches, Herb Goins, John Pizzani, Bob Sapp, Bob Shook, Danny Wilmer, Joe Stedman, and friends and players that had started years ago in developing this sense of family are what made it very special. And is what we know today as Red Raider pride. Our championship season did start off as we expected because we lost the first game by a very small margin. But what grew from that conversation on that bus ride home from Greensboro Ridley High School, that this loss will never happen again this year, was very special. We had a great year, bowling past many teams, having some struggles with a few issues along the way. We battled some injury. Against Burlington Reeves, I suffered a broken vertebrae in my back, and which the doctor pronounced my season to be over. And I quickly reminded him, I don't think so. We plan on winning it all this year. And 2 weeks later, I'm suited up, ready to play. Dan Wagner had stepped in my role of quarterback for 2 weeks that I missed, and the team never missed a beat. In one of the first playoff games, D.D. Hart broke his jaw against a tough Charlotte team, which was another scary loss. But Chris Brown, the brother of Ted Brown, a great running back in his own respect, was there along with Dan Wagner to fill the role. That was the kind of team we had. No single-out superstars, just a group of guys who cared about each other and had the same vision. We had great times and stories. Most people don't know that in the same game that D.D. Hart broke his jaw, I was knocked out cold, yet still standing on my feet. In the middle of the huddle, calling a play that no one had ever heard. Finally, time I was called when I got very strange looks from my lineman, particularly Mark Lackey, who was my friend from childhood, who appeared to be laughing at the time, which wasn't unusual, because, they were linemen. Then they escorted me off the field to the bench, waking up later to smelling salts being waved under my nose. We ended the year with a big bang, playing the all-powerful Richmond County Green Raiders, full of many college prospect players that would go on to play at UNC and with me at North Carolina State. It had to be the coldest night that I've ever remembered playing any game, which some of you may remember. In their smaller, not near as nice a stadium as A.G. Simeon, and a rowdy bunch of fans that didn't think so much about the Red Raiders. Yet we had busloads of Red Raider Booster Club members and fans that matched their crowd easily. And Red Raider pride held tight that night, and thanks to not just a pass, thanks to a tough defense, we survived 6-0, and we won the state 4A championship. I share these stories not to boast in any way, but to make sure you know that this Red Raider was fortunate to make friends, teammates, and coaches that helped me to grow as a person and understand that it takes all working together in trust and love to be successful. I'm thankful. I accept this Hall of Fame honor on behalf of all those Red Raider teammates, coaches, and Booster Club members that shared their lives with me to help me grow, have the opportunity to have a college education, and experience football at the next level. And again, I thank you.
Coach Freddie became the basketball coach at William Penn High School in High Point, where he directed his 1968 team to the state 4A Athletic Conference Championship. Coach Marie was named the first head basketball coach at Andrews when the school opened in 1968. At Andrews, he won numerous conference championships and Coach of the Year honors. He was the head coach for the West All-Stars in the 1978 East-West All-Star game. Coach Freddie passed away in 2001. He was inducted into the Guilford County Sports Hall of Fame in 2007, and the gym at Andrews was named in his memory in 2014 by the Guilford County Board of Education. Here to accept on behalf of Coach Freddie is his daughter, Autry Freddie, and former player, Campbell.
Well, thank you
so much for this honor for my father. My family is overwhelmed with the love and support that has been shown to him over the years. He was only alive to accept his Hall of Fame honor at Winston-Salem State. And since then, I have accepted them all. And I count it an honor, but it would be so much better if he were here to tell you how important this would be to him. I know for a fact that of the things he was most proud of, it was his affiliation with Andrews. You all are the reason why he came here as a coach, and he chose to stay here. The High Point community accepted him, welcomed him, embraced him, and that, he came at a time when race relations were not what they are today. That is one of the things about athletics. It brings people from all cultures and races together and builds families. This was his family. I'm so appreciative of this. I couldn't tell you of the athletic things that he found most important, but I thought it would be more memorable to have someone who he actually influenced as a young person to say a few words. And so I invited Donald Campbell, you know him as Duck.
Yeah, I just got a few things I want to say about Coach. I met Coach in 77. I started at Andrews in 77. The program at Andrews, we came to the system over there. Danny Women took me to the big guy and said, "You running cross country?" I said, "No, I don't run cross country. I just run the 800." He said, "No, Andrews, you run cross country. And you're going to run the mile and the 800 and the relay, whatever we want you." So he took me to Coach Reed, and Coach Reed said, "Cross country practice started tomorrow. Go home and tell your mama you'll be in practice tomorrow." My first day in cross country practice, I was like hanging with the basketball players at the back of the line, because at the Andrews, if you played basketball, you had to run cross country. That was part of the program. And I was at the back, and he came back and got me and said, "What you doing back here with these basketball players? You got to cross country. You need to move up to the front." He took us out to AJ Stadium. We had to run that big old hill over there. We had to go to the stadium. We had to run up that hill. That was part of our the course that we had to do when we had our competition. And I came in third place as a 10th grader. And from that point on, I became most valuable player in cross country, track, and all because of Coach and Coach Wagner and Coach Gill and Coach Zaza, Coach Freddie, all the coaches worked together. My senior year, we had 125 people on that track team. 125. We went to Dudley over there my senior year. We lapped around the whole our track team, circled the whole everybody on the track. We circled the whole team around like that. And we won the conference champion over there in 1980. So that was just a part of some of the tradition that we had there. And that all stemmed from Coach Reed and Coach Gill and Coach Warner. They all instilled in us as an athlete. You never was bored. You always had something, and it was all our father figures. They told you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Autry. Thank you, Doc. Our next inductee is Tommy Green. This 1984 graduate was a three-sport athlete, playing football, basketball, and baseball. In football, he started all 3 years on the varsity team, playing linebacker and fullback. Tommy was all-conference both his junior and senior year, and during his senior year served as team captain and was selected the most valuable player on the squad. In baseball, Tommy excelled. He was the leading hitter on the team for 3 years. He was the team most valuable player for 2 years, all conference for 3, and conference player of the year his senior year. Tommy made honorable mention All-State as a junior and was named to the All-State team as a senior. He earned a baseball scholarship to Appalachian State, in which he graduated in 1988. Tommy started all 4 years at Appalachian State, was a team captain in all Southern Conference, both his junior and senior years, and was team most valuable player his senior year. He once had the longest hitting streak, 25 games in Appalachian State history, and had a career batting average of .362. Tommy still remains in the top 5 in career categories in Appalachian in hits, doubles, runs batted in, and total bases. Tommy today serves as a state electrical inspector for the North Carolina Department of Insurance. He and his wife April live in Sophia and have 2 daughters, Haley and Savannah. And I must mention that Tommy's brother Terry is in attendance tonight. Please welcome Tommy Green.
Don't say that. Get ready to throw it all in. Say thanks to everybody. This is awesome. I love it. You're gonna make me nervous right here. I got my crying towel too. I just want to say thanks. I'm humbled and honored to be here with this fine group of elite athletes, coaches, and administrators of a great high school with a great tradition. I just wanted to thank my Lord Jesus Christ. Here we go. Granted me the tools and the help to accomplish what I did from the time I was 8 years old to 48. I just gave it up 3 years ago. I enjoy walking on Monday mornings now. Most of that time was in baseball, but I enjoyed every moment on the football field or basketball court as well. I want to thank every teammate and coach I ever had through the years growing up, especially Bob who helped me get a Division I college baseball scholarship, which was a dream come true for me. And helped me obtain a college degree. I took something from each one of you with me as I developed through the years. As you know, there is no I in team, and it takes everyone working together and pushing one another to succeed as a team. Sports has prepared me for all the ups and downs throughout my life, and I would not trade it for anything. I also would like to thank my wife April and her parents, John and Martha, for submitting my name to the nomination committee and for this prestigious award, as well as thank the Hall of Fame committee for selecting me. I'd also like to thank my family, especially my parents who are no longer with us, their many sacrifices. That they made sure my brothers and I had what we needed to participate in sports throughout the years. I'd also like to thank a couple of families, the Bray family and the Kennys, because they treated me just like their own back in the earlier years, going to camps and stuff. And I just want to say thanks to all my friends, classmates, teachers, and who supported me as well. And sorry. I just want to thank y'all. This is a great honor. Thank y'all.
Congratulations, Tony. Our next inductee is Greg Jeffries. Greg was a two-sport athlete at Andrews. He graduated in 1989 and was a two-year starter at tailback and cornerback, as well as the Red Raiders' leading rusher and a team captain his senior season. Football teams he played on won 4 consecutive conference championships and enjoyed a record of 34-12. He was selected to the all-conference team his junior and senior years. Greg was a member of 2 consecutive state 3A championship track teams, himself winning 6 individual state championships, the 300 hurdles twice, the 1600 relay 2 times, the 400 and 800 relays. Greg ran the anchor leg on all these state championship relay teams. He was captain of the 1989 track team and the track performer of the year in the county. Greg attended the University of Virginia on a football scholarship, where he was a 4-year letterman and 2-year starter at defensive back. The Cavaliers were 35-13-1 during the years Greg played, went to 3 bowl games, and were the Atlantic Coast Conference champions once. Greg was chosen second team All-ACC in 1991. He was drafted in the 6th round of the 1993 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions and played 6 years with the Lions and 2 years with the Miami Dolphins. Greg currently lives in Columbia, Maryland, and he has 2 sons, Caleb and Joshua. Please welcome Greg Jeffries to the Andrews.
Good evening. Good evening. Didn't have anything prepared. And didn't know I was going to feel the way that I'm feeling right now. But first of all, I just want to thank God, who is my Savior. I'm really grateful tonight to have my 2 boys here to witness this. I'm thankful for so many things. One of the things that's been consistent throughout this evening has been family. Whether we talk about Andrews, but in regards to my own personal family, I'm the oldest of 4 boys to a single mom who raised 4 boys by herself. But she didn't do it alone. She did it with the help of our extended family. And they're here tonight. When we talk about sacrifice and the things that we sacrifice, and my mom sacrificed so much as a single mom to raise 4 boys. And that brings me to the fact that I'm also celebrating this evening along with my full brother, who's also going to be honored this evening also. And I think that's a testament to the hard work and the sacrifice that not only she, but her family, but our family was able to give. And then I think about the Andrews community. It's represented by the fact that not only do we have these 8 great athletes who come back, but it also shows in the fact that we have teachers and administrators that have also come back and supported this program. You know, growing up, one of the things you go to an Andrews football game and you think about that A, and it was such pride that when we got off that bus, when we warmed up and we formed that A, and at least we felt like we were invincible. That as soon as we stepped off the bus, we won the game. That was it. You know, and I think about all the coaches. Coach Gazazzo. I played as a freshman my first year at UVA. It was because of the foundation, the coaching, the love that this man showed. You know, Coach Cohen talked about, you know, taking our seats at the desk. You know, here it is. So many years later, he's still talking about education. And one of the things that he instilled when I was at Andrews was how important education was. The great lady, Coach Gill, the hard work, discipline, the sacrifice that he instilled in all of us. And then Coach Burke, Now, I know they said that I was a two-sport athlete, but I was actually on that one state championship wrestling team, only for a little while. I was running indoor track, and this is how I remember the story. I don't know how you remember it. This is how and they needed somebody to wrestle a certain weight class. He said, you can come in after track practice, we'll get you ready. So I probably had gone to 2 practices, and I decided to go to a wrestling match or meet that weekend with the team. And he throws me an outfit. I just want to see you get on the mat, see what you can do. And I'm thinking to myself, Coach, I ain't had but 2 practices. I don't know what I'm doing. And I get out on the mat, and I'm wrestling. And the only thing that I could do was just shoot on somebody. That's all I could do. I hadn't learned any moves. And I get this guy on the mat, and he's like, run this, run that, run that. And I'm like, run what? I don't know what I'm doing. So, needless to say, it didn't end up well that night. But, again, it's what you say, you take one for the team. Again, I love the game. I love Andrews. And I'm honored. I mean, we think about the fact that this program has probably had over at least 38 state championship teams throughout its history. If you think about the number of great athletes, not just athletes, but the student athletes that have come through and have made that happen. And to be amongst those that have been able to accomplish so many things, I'm grateful and honored. So thank you again.
Congratulations, Greg. And now for his brother, Sam Mckeever. Sam Mckeever was a member of 11 state championship teams during his 4 years at Andrews, a record for any Andrews athlete. This 1992 graduate was also an outstanding student, being president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, member of the National Honor Society, and Governor's School math participant in 1991. Sam was the most valuable player on the 1991 State 3A championship team, rushing for over 1,500 yards and scoring 23 touchdowns. He played in the 1992 East-West All-Star game. He was a 4-year outstanding wrestler on teams that won 3 consecutive State 3A wrestling championships. Sam was also a member of 3 consecutive state dual-team wrestling champions. His overall wrestling record at Andrews was 99-28. Sam was a member of 4 consecutive state 3A track championship teams, running the 100 and 200 meter dash, the triple jump, and 4x100 and 4x200 relays. The 1991 4x200 relay team still holds the all-time state record in this event, regardless of classification. Sam attended the University of Virginia on a football scholarship. He played cornerback for 4 years, lettering 3 of those years, and played in 4 bowl games for the University of Virginia. Sam now lives in High Point and works in the software engineering and music business. And of course his brother Greg is here, and his brothers Gino and Ringo, also who are outstanding athletes at Andrews, the 4 boys that Greg had talked about. So, Mrs. Barbara Mckeever, on behalf of the coaches at Andrews, I want to thank you for the contribution.
So much like my brother, I did not prepare a speech. I think the thing is that we love each other around here, and we know how to work. We don't take it for granted. We put that work in, and that's what we did at Andrews. So I got a lot of stories from all the coaches around. Coach Goins, we called him Time Bomb. He didn't know it. Of course, he already gave you the reason why we call him time bomb. Coach Burke, who was not just a great coach, he was probably the first great philosopher that I had the privilege of being around, discussing all kind of stuff that you just don't talk about with the average human being. Very smart man. And getting to Bobby, so we would have a wrestling practice, and practice would almost be over with, and we'd be hoping and praying that Bobby wouldn't show up. We walk in the room and we get quiet, start getting your rest, because it's time to get beat up. So what he was saying, he come from work, he's a little upset, a little perturbed, and he took it out on us. We all cried. It's tough love. So my mom, 4 boys, she would, just to give you an example of the dedication, at one time she had Greg playing in the NFL. I was at UVA. My younger brothers, Andrews, not to mention younger cousins that were playing middle school and little league ball. She would go to all those games in a week, every week. So that's the dedication that that kind of made us who we are. And just Andrews. Oh, one more thing, Joe. He was the ref when I was wrestling in middle school. They say 61 years of reffing. The fairest guy you want to meet, but also the toughest. He did not play. But if you did what you had to do, you just win the match and go on about your business. I could say a lot more about everybody else. I got Coach Gazelles here. He didn't play with me, but people I looked up to growing up. As Greg said, that A, the first person that made an impression in my mind was actually my cousin, Junior Robinson, who number I adopted. And, used to go out to the games, A.J. Simmons Stadium, playing Little League. That's all I wanted to do, was get on that field, get in that A, and represent. Had a chance to do it thanks to, the system that we had here. So I just want to thank everyone. Not just the athletics. We can't forget the teachers. They loved us. They showed us that love. They supported the sports. And, we gave it all back. So Andrew was just a great place to grow. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sam. Our next inductee is Robert Murphy. Robert was destined to be a Red Raider. Both his parents and his sister and brother are Andrews grads. During Robert's 4 years at Andrews, he served as co-president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, co-editor of the school newspaper, and was a member of the National Honor Society and the golf team. The 1988 graduate was also chosen as most likely to succeed and was selected Mr. Andrews. An opportunity to announce baseball during his sophomore year led to Robert working games for 5 other sports, serving as an announcer, clock operator, statistician, scorekeeper, or videographer. Robert stepped down last year after 20 years as announcer and clock operator for varsity basketball at Andrews. He continues to serve as the voice of Simeon Stadium, announcing football for both Andrews and High Point Central. During his 22 years of dedication to Andrews, Robert has worked in some capacity at over 800 sporting events and has served with 8 principals and 8 athletic directors and has advocated for the betterment of Andrews. His experience at Andrews has led to many other announcing opportunities, including being named basketball announcer at Wesleyan Christian Academy, a position he's held for 14 years. Robert currently serves as the minister here at Oakview Baptist, Minister of Youth, Media, and Facilities, and he has done so since 2000. Please join me in welcoming Robert Murphy to the Andrews.
stand before you tonight, I must quote Vice Admiral James Stockdale, who, while speaking the 92 vice presidential debate, he opened with this line: "Who am I? Why am I here?" And that's how I felt since being chosen for induction. As of tonight, the Hall of Fame will have 53 members, and I'm only one of 4 who are not athletes or coaches. 2 were boosters, Ruth McDowell and the late Pat Walsh, and the late Matt Bowles. I'm honored to be inducted with a class that includes Jeff Culler, my former youth leader, and a man I greatly respect, as well as Freddie Autry Lindsay, who I had the pleasure of announcing his games, as well as working AAU tournaments with him. I've got to tell a quick story. We were working a basketball tournament, and Freddie was always very honest with people, and one of the coaches was getting all over him. He was the official scorekeeper, and they were saying it was wrong. He said, "Listen, let me tell you. It's not official because it's right. It's right because it's official." I never forgot that. But as a youth pastor for the last 17 and a half years, my job is to help young people come to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, to help them grow not only in their faith but as people. That includes challenging them, investing in them, and helping them realize the potential that they have. The same thing that teachers and coaches at Andrews did for me. So I want to use the remaining time in this speech to recognize those who helped me get where I am today, because no one achieves alone. I can say with pride that Andrews is owed a lot of credit for who I am. In the spring of '96, a 16-year-old newly licensed sophomore is asked by a parent, Brenda Hughes, to announce baseball. I was barely involved at the school outside of normal classes, was extremely quiet and in many ways shy, but I agreed to it and ventured out with absolutely no training. And I stayed with it, and you know why? Because of the support of Andrews varsity baseball coach Aldine Payne. If it wasn't for his encouragement, I probably would not be standing here before you this evening. So thank you, Coach Payne. Soon after, Principal Jerry Hairston asked me to announce JV football in the fall of '96. The late Larry Craven, voice of Simeon Stadium from '89 to 2008, helped prepare me for that job, not knowing that 13 years later he would hand the varsity position to me. Not long after the JV football opportunity, head coach Sandy Dalton asked me to keep score and announce for boys soccer. Coach Dalton taught me humility. He always gives credit for everything he does to someone else. Thank you, Coach Dalton. Finally, in this same time period, math teacher Liz Kimbrough asked me to assist her in keeping stats for the varsity football team. She taught the process and then handed it off to me for 9 more years. As I'll share in a moment, she also worked at the scores table with me during varsity basketball for 2 years. She taught me how to really enjoy the job you're doing and to be still. I would get nervous during tight games, and as my legs would shake, the bleacher beneath her, she would reach over to stop the movement and say, "Be still." And when I came in tonight, Miss Kimbrough gave me her 1995 state basketball championship ring. She was the scorekeeper, and she gave that to me tonight on the night of the induction. While I'm thanking teachers, let me say thank you to Ms. Joyner, who's responsible for me being able to type this page. Ms. Brooks, who constantly supported me in early announcing days as a student, and Ms. Barner and Ms. Burke, who helped me do math well enough to be able to keep score. As we move toward basketball season of '96-'97, Athletic Director Sue Shin did something I have never seen in any other school. She asked a 16-year-old student to do a job that's normally reserved for an adult, that of a varsity basketball clock and scoreboard operator. I don't know why she asked me to do that, but I remained in that position for 20 years, so I guess it worked out pretty well. Ms. Shin taught me to always be passionate about what you're doing, and I thank you, Ms. Shin. All told, I ended up working games in some capacity for 6 different sports. It was clear to me that even though I was on the varsity golf team, that wasn't my future. I told my coach that I was quitting golf to focus on announcing, and he said something that sticks with me to this day. He looked at me and he said, "Are you going to be a spectator all your life, son?" Well, Coach, I spectated all the way to the Hall of Fame. Of all the sports that I announced, basketball is the one I love the most. I owe my skill in that to Mark Stover. He taught me to announce with great accuracy and integrity, and I thank you, Mark. That investment led to me being offered the job as West End basketball announcer in 03. I'm thankful to have Principal Tim Rickman here tonight, as well as Athletic Director Glenn Foster. Mr. Rickman has been a mentor, and he taught me that you must love those that you serve. Thank you. The only time I thought about leaving Andrews was in 2003, when the athlete attendance issue happened. And in one fell swoop, almost every coach I had known was gone. Thanks to Athletic Director John Kazaza, the longest-serving Andrews employee, 32 total years, I stayed and have now worked over 800 games. Coach Kazaza has become a good friend and taught me the importance of commitment. Thank you, Coach Kazaza. I'm also thankful to have former Andrews AD and good friend Ben Robinson here tonight. He's been a model of perseverance through 11 years of serving Andrews. What makes Andrews High School is not the building, the trophies, the success, or the failures. What makes Andrews High School is the people. And the Red Raiders are some of the finest people I have ever known. I'm thankful for the part that each one has played in my life, for the athletes that I've had the privilege to serve, and for my family, who has always supported me in everything I've sought to achieve. As 2015 inductee J.J. McQueen told me last week, I believe really. God bless, and go Raiders.
Well said, Ronnie. Our next inductee is Barry Perkins. This 1976 graduate was a three-sport athlete. Barry was the starting center fielder on the baseball team in 1976. He was a three-year athlete in football, starting at running back and cornerback. He was named most valuable player his senior year. Barry wrestled all 3 years and completed his career with 70 victories against only 7 losses. In 1975, he was undefeated at 28-0 and won the state 4A championship at 119 pounds. His senior year, he was conference champion and finished third in the state with a fine 24-2 record. Barry won the prestigious T. Wingate Andrews Award, given to the outstanding senior who best combines athletics and academics. After employment in the textile industry in High Point, he enlisted in the Air Force as an aviation mechanic, retiring in 2010 as a senior master sergeant after 25 years of service. Barry led squadrons of 400-plus airmen, and among his many Air Force commendations is the Southwest Asia Service Medal with 3 stars for his role in Operations Desert Storm and Desert Shield in Kuwait and Iraq. Barry lives with his wife, Laverne, former Laverne Lawson, class of 1977 at Andrews. He lives in Trussville, Alabama, and they have 1 son, Barry. Please welcome Barry Perkins to the Andrews Hall of Fame.
Wow. First, give honor to God. He is the head of my life. I just want to thank the committee for allowing me to be a part of this, because I would have never done it. I'd like to thank my family for being here with me today. Each and every one. To my wife, 37 years, man. I think it's Mr. Compton. It was the swimmer, is that correct? Congratulations. When when I got to Andrews, my goal was to be a swimmer. My history teacher was a wrestling coach. So now, and I love history. I know I passed every history test and I did everything that was required of me, but I got an F. So I went to, I think it was Mr. John Russell at the time, who was the dean, and I said, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And he said, no, you're not. You're not going to wrestling practice. I said, I want to be a swimmer. He said, you didn't hear me. You're not going to wrestling. So that evening, I went to wrestling practice. And it was all good. It was one of the best decisions that I made. I just have 3 words that I want to say. Integrity, service to yourself, excellence in all that you do. For 25 years, I carried those on my back as an Air Force member. But I just want to say, faculty members, coaches, and hand groups, put that on my back long before the Air Force did. And I thank you, and I'm humble. Thank you.
Congratulations, Barry. Our next inductee is Marjorie Roach. This 1982 graduate was outstanding in academics as well as athletics. She served as a member of the debate team, the secretary of the student council, and was selected as a junior marshal and member of the National Honor Society and a governor's school participant in Spanish. Athletically, she participated in cross country and track. At one time, her accomplishments as a sprinter, hurdler, and triple jumper allowed her to individually hold 11 school track records. In 1981, when the state championship in track was across all classifications, Marjorie was a member of the 400 and mile relay teams that finished second, and also ran a leg on the 800 relay that won the state championship. In each of her 3 years at Andrews, she won honorable mention All-American honors for track. Marjorie went on to the University of North Carolina, where she graduated with a degree in psychology, later earning her master's at North Carolina State. Marjorie lives in High Point and works for her own grant writing company, Martech Consultants. She and her husband, Terry, have adopted a niece and also serve as foster parents to 3 other children. Please welcome Marjorie Roach.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It is a great honor for me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I'm just really thrilled. I want to thank my husband, Terry Rory, 14 years for supporting me and being here tonight, along with my friend, Denise Little, for coming here tonight. Thank you. And I want to thank the coaches that really inspired me and gave me the encouragement that I needed to do the things that I did on the track field. Because it was on the track field where I learned lessons that have followed me throughout my life. I learned the lessons of persistence and of work ethics, and also of team support and preparation. Those have been very important to me as I have started my own business in grant writing. Because through persistence, a lot of times you write grants and I've written hundreds and hundreds of grants for people, and you're not always funded. But that only means that you need to try harder. And it was on the track field where I learned to win graciously and to lose with grace. Because losing only meant to work harder and to do better. In terms of preparation, most people don't know that I ran cross country. I was the only female on the cross country team. And I only ran cross country to prepare for track. But I remember one time at a huge conference, we were running, and you know, cross country's no joke, right? You know, you're going over hills and through the woods and jumping hay bales and just, but I persisted, and I remember it was a huge group of guys in this conference, and we were running, and all of a sudden I could see on the sideline Coach Hicks screaming at me, saying, "Run, Marjorie, run! If you need to place, because if you place, you know, this is going to give our team a ranking." And I'm like, you know, so it took that voice, and a lot of times it takes that mentor, that person to kind of pull out of you what's really inside of you. So I ran, and I was able to help our team, the team, get a ranking in that particular meet. But also, in terms of team, there's no way I would be here tonight if it were not for my coaches, if it were not for the 4 girls that ran with me in the relays. You know, it's not about me, because team simply means together, each achieves more. But lastly, I want, today is sort of bittersweet for me, because my father just underwent a heart surgery, and my parents really instilled in me the importance of education. They instilled in me just the importance of working hard and being excellent. And my father, no matter where we were, I would always look up in the stands, and there he was. If we were, you know, anywhere in North Carolina, he was always there to support me. And he would just, and I would wave to him, and he would wave to me, and I would just remember the last time my father and I raced. I was 14 years old, and he beat me. I told Dad, you know, you owe me another one. But anyway, the biggest thrill that he got was one day I was a hurdler as well as a triple jumper, and I was running a race at Andrews, and I got to the last hurdle, and I wasn't winning. And he tells his story all the time. But by the time I went through the straight to the finish line, I came in first, and it just gave him a big thrill, and so those memories of him being there and encouraging me and telling the stories it's really heartfelt for me. So I'd like to leave you with a quote from the Bible, which says, "The race is not given to the swift or the strongest, but to those who endure to the end." And I thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie. Congratulations. Our next inductee is Jennifer Taylor. This 3-sport athlete, volleyball, basketball, and track, was a very busy lady during her time at Andrews. In addition to playing 3 sports all 4 years, she found time to be the homecoming queen and the bus driver of the year. Yes, students, seniors drove buses at that time. In basketball, Jennifer was all-conference her junior and senior years and won the Unsung Hero and Most Improved Team awards. She was all-conference in track for 3 years and ran a leg on the 1985 state 3A champion 4x200 meter relay. Jennifer went on to Guilford College, where she started all 4 years in basketball, scored over 1,000 points in her career, and made all-conference for 3 years. During the 1989-90 season, she led the Lady Quakers in field goal percentage and rebounding. In 1990, Jennifer won the top Guilford College Athletic Award, the English Athletic Leadership Award, awarded to students displaying the highest ideals of athletic accomplishment, leadership, and academic achievement. She still remains in the top 3 in career statistics at Guilford in scoring average, field goal percentage, and rebounding average per game. Jennifer currently lives in Concord and works as a hairstylist. And of course, her recent claim to fame was serving as the hairstylist to Fantasia for 4 years and traveling the world. By the way, she worked. She has 3 daughters, Taylor Bolden and Faith and Leah Hope. And it's a special year because not only is Jennifer going into the Andrews Hall of Fame, but her father, Alfred, who is here, was inducted this year into his high school athletic hall of fame in Rockland County, New York. So congratulations to Jennifer Taylor. Please welcome her into the Andrews Hall of Fame.
Everybody has said everything that I've been practicing. I promise you, Miss Shin and Miss Mason, I've been stressed out about this 3 to 4 minute speech. I just want to get up here and teach y'all about a blunt haircut or something. Get them out of here. But, I'm so excited, honored. I'm trembling because I'm about to cry. I'm a cry baby, I tell you. Everybody in here is making me well up tonight. Let me slow down. Miss Shin, you have no idea how much I love you. My family, my sweetie, haven't been married yet with this one, but hopefully that's coming. B. Brown, as soon as I found out about this, I was Miss Shin. I said, shut up! I'm thinking about Greg and all the other people that's doing it. And they're like, me? With them? I'm just the unsung hero. And I was fine with that. You know, I'm a team player. Whatever I need to do, that's what I'm going to do. And for them to, whoever nominated me, I think Cheryl, my friend, did. God. Thank her, thank the committee, thank everybody. Go back to B. Brown. She used to pick me up, take me to take the SAT. She took me to visit schools. She is the one that helped me get into Guilford College. And that's why I do what I do today. I've been with the same AAU team for 16 years. I'm trying to do the same thing she did, Coach Bob, just help the youth. I think that's all I'm going to say. Let's go. Thank you very much.